fourth time in a row, viewership's going to go down. Sorry, that's just the way it is. I mean, people don't want to watch the same game over and over and over again. They just don't. I mean, I wouldn't want to watch the Patriots and the Rams play every single year. I just wouldn't want to. That's just not something I want to do. So that's literally the only reason, well, not the only reason, but that's a huge reason why people don't like the Patriots, is because they're in the Super Bowl every year and they dominate the AFC. But that's the same reason why people don't like Alabama, because they win too much. They're too good. Obviously, that's a ridiculous statement to be too good, but they are one of the top 4 teams in the country, and I think losing to LSU and obviously losing to Auburn, that sealed the deal when you lose to Auburn. I mean, you may say that, okay, Alabama's strength of schedule wasn't really good, and they should have beat Auburn. I think even if they beat Auburn in the Iron Bowl, with one loss to LSU obviously stays number 1. Alabama is literally number 2, because nobody has even gotten close to beating LSU, like that close. Nobody's gotten that close to beating LSU, so it's evident that Bama is number 2 at that point. However, they beat Auburn. Let's just say they beat Auburn. I don't think the CFP puts them in. I don't think they put them in because they don't want to see 2 SEC teams in. They don't want to see a Clemson versus Alabama game at number 2 and 3. Everyone's going to watch Oklahoma and LSU. That's going to be a great game at number 1 v 4. But nobody wants to see a 2 and 3 Alabama versus Clemson. Nobody's going to watch that. They want to increase their viewership. So they don't put Alabama in. Even if they beat Auburn, Alabama's not in. They should be, absolutely they should be. But they're not going to put them in. It's all about viewership. This is a business. I mean, imagine. I mean, this is an organization, but it's a business. It's a business. I mean, this is a company, right? So you want to increase your viewership to make money. And Alabama and Clemson's not going to make the CFP money. It's just not happening. So it's really sad because, I used to be a huge Alabama fan growing up, and obviously sort of around high school I started switching that over to A&M when I knew I wanted to be an engineer. And now that I'm at College Station, I'm obviously all for the Aggies. And let's talk about the Aggies. First of all, hardest schedule in all of college football history, arguably. I mean, we played the number 1 seed twice, and let's see, was it 2 number 2s or 1 number 2? I mean, we played the top 3 teams twice. 3 times, actually. We played the top 3 teams 3 times this year. Not to mention Auburn, okay? Not to mention every single SEC West team who's very strong, minus Arkansas, RIP. But we dominated the SEC. Last year we were number 2. Okay, this year we're all over the place, playing the hardest teams in the country, playing the best college football teams in the world. Well, it depends where you stand on this. Playing the best college football teams in the universe. Imagine that. Imagine that. So we no doubt have had the hardest schedule this season, and I'm not making excuses for that, but I mean, that's worth putting on a resume. You know what I'm saying? That's worth putting on a resume, and I think that alone. I mean, the top 5, some of the top 5 teams don't even have that schedule. No team in the top 5, I would say, has that schedule. Just based on schedule alone, we should be number 1. I mean, obviously that's a ridiculous statement, but we had some problems this year. Good news is we're going to have one of a relatively easier schedule next year. We play nobody really until LSU, then we'll play Bama, and then we play Auburn. Those are sort of going to be our hardest ones, but we're going to see sort of some new offensive personnel. I'm really excited to see Wademeyer, what he's going to grow up to be. I mean, true freshman, dude was, in my opinion, first team all SEC, in my opinion. True freshman tight end that really did a lot of great stuff. I mean, his route running ability, his ability to get separation in the secondary was, second to none. And as a true freshman, and plus the dude's jacked. Dude is massive, okay? And so a lot of hype around him, and I hope he can keep it up because he seems like a playmaker. He seems like a dude that a quarterback trusts because he's got great hands. He can come down with the ball and with a linebacker and a strong safety on him. I mean he can do it, and he can make a guy miss if he has to. He can run over you, and you better believe that he can run over you. So. I'm excited to see where how he does next year. He's going to be a big weapon for us, and our offensive line is going to get a little stronger next year as well with the recruits from last season. And at some point that number 2 recruiting class from last year is going to catch up to the SEC. I mean, when Alabama has the number 1, and obviously they're going to keep having the number 1 or number 2, number 3 for a while, but when a team like the Aggies has the number 2 recruiting class with a guy named Jimbo Fisher as head coach and the biggest stadium in the SEC, I mean, we got some talking points to get some of these players, and it's evident that at some point these guys are going to grow up to be little football players for the Aggies. You know what I'm saying? They're going to grow up, and they're going to do some stuff. They're gonna take over the SEC. All right. That obviously that's just part of it. We got to take care of business in the off season, and I believe we will. This is going to have to be a huge year, and there was a lot of hype about what Jimbo was going to be able to do with a full off season with Kellen Mond this season, and we saw a little bit of growth, but it seemed after the Clemson game, which is the second game of the year, it seemed after that he really never settled into it. And, I made a remark during the Arkansas game, like, he's not settled in, He's not comfortable. And, he had a couple moments, he had a couple drives where he really turned it on and he was nailing it. But, man, I lost count of how many passes that he overthrew. So, I mean, that's sort of his trademark now. And it's sad because a dude from San Antonio went to IMG, did some great stuff there, and everyone thought he was going to be, a Heisman candidate, after a full off season with Jimbo Fisher. He did some great stuff with his legs, did some okay stuff with his arm, but it was wildly overrated. And it's sad. So, I think every single off season with this new team, Jimbo's going to get stronger, and he's going to make the team stronger. I'm invested still. I'm not losing faith because of a mediocre season, and that's what it was. I mean, with the talent that we have, with the platform that we have, and the best conference and the best division in the universe, I think we still stood out. But it was mediocre. It was mediocre at best, and it's sad. So we got to make some moves next year, and we will. But again, it's very sad that Alabama didn't get in to the top 4. I'm worried about that, but shout out to Joe Burrow again, man. That dude was something else. Dude was really something else. I wanted Jalen Hurts to win. That dude has a remarkable story. I mean, you can't beat a story like Jalen Hurts, dude. I mean, if you don't know Jalen Hurts' story, I won't. We might talk about it later, but I mean, what a story that dude has. I mean, I'm telling you, man. Wow. Anyway, this episode is really just to sort of highlight where we're going, what the show is, what the show is going to be, and again, my main point is just not having any limits, and I want as much communication via social media as possible. I want to grow this show. I want to make the platform larger. That's what I want. And so that's what I'm going to get. So tell your friends to get on the bandwagon now, because the train's leaving. Train's leaving the station, and you want to be on board for it. That's what I got to say. So again, go invest in the show. Go invest in me. Go to patreon.com/thethrone-room, or reach out to me on social media. Give me some topics to talk about, because I would love to talk about some interesting stuff that y'all guys want. It'd be fun. talk about life, talk about anything. There's no limits, okay? No limits. Thanks so much for listening. This has been The Throne Room with Alex King.